of tonight is chapter 6. We are I'll answer those 8 questions or fill in the blanks for chapter 6 before we move on to chapter 7. Give you a chance to find your document. All right, we're all set to go. Number 1, Christ was both a blank and a blank. Preacher and a teacher, yes. All right. Number 2, the verb euangelizo signifies what? To bring a message. That is correct. Number 3, more often than not, the Lord was designated as a blank rather than a blank. Teacher rather than a preacher. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to make the distinction. Number 4, Jesus' Sermon on the Mount contains blank as suggested by Jackson. 9 sections, yes. And we looked at each of those 9 sections. I'm sorry, I was doing something. There we go, got it, found it, okay. Whew. Anthony, I'm sending something over to you right now for chapter 7. All right? Let me know if you should have an attachment. It's really a small one, but it does contain 3 slides. All right, number 5. At the conclusion of this sermon, Jesus' listeners were blank. Diane? Yes, amazed at his authoritative message. They were amazed at how he spoke, Matthew chapter 7, 28, 29, that he spoke with authority because they had no respect for him. They just saw him as the carpenter's or the son of a carpenter, the carpenter's son. All right. Number 6, two fill in the blanks. Jesus pointed out that there is blank in every blank. Matthew 16, 26. Yes, value in every individual, either soul or person. So if you put person or soul, so there's value, which is important to understand, and in every individual person or soul. And that's that's an important thing that all of us have to remember, that just as Jesus saw value in every person living, and sometimes it's hard for us to reach individuals, but Anthony, take it to that blank screen first. Put the blank one up first, please. Thank you. Yeah, I got it. That's good right there. Yeah. Number 7. What was the one example that Jackson presented as an example of this principle of there being value in every individual soul? Dolly? Right, the grateful woman of Luke chapter 7, 36 through 50. And it is the example of a grateful woman, because her sins, which were many, the Lord had forgiven. And she understood what the Lord had done for her, and she was thankful that she was forgiven. One of the greatest lessons I think that every one of us who've been privileged to have been taught the gospel and to have responded to the gospel, every day that we live, we know that once we have obeyed the gospel, that our sins are forgiven, and we ought to be grateful because of what we have received. Didn't deserve it. No one deserves the greatest gift that heaven had to offer. But God, Paul says, God, who is rich in his mercy, wherewith he loved us, and we have received God's wonderful grace. So, which leads us to the last one, number 8, multiple fill in the blanks. The key lesson from Luke 7:36 through 50 is the degree of one's what? Appreciation for his salvation will be expressed in loving devotion. Much blank gratitude will produce much loving service. And little blank, little service, is a commentary on the superficiality, big word which means shallowness. It's how many of y'all remember whitewash? Yeah. No. Okay. So you don't know. Yeah. So you're too young. I remember a spring task in growing up was that every spring, after a hard winter, the bottom of your house was those not brick, they were stones that went around the lower level, around your windows and stuff, and part of the job was go out there, that big old brush, and put fresh whitewash on those stones, because the winter weather had worn down the previous year and the salt and stuff. But whitewash was, because you didn't, it wasn't that, so you didn't have all that money to get that high enamel paint and stuff. But it was a superficial coating. So that's what whitewash is. It's just, huh? Yeah, it's a cover up. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, yeah. So this idea of superficiality is just a shallowness or not real of what? Of one's love. And so think about what Brother Jackson was trying to say from that lesson. And when you think about what this lady did, And people cringe. Simon cringed at what he saw her doing, did he not? And he was appalled that Jesus would let her do what she's doing. I mean, and forget about the tears. Okay, all right, yeah, okay, you're crying. All right, tears, that's easy. And all right, and even your hair, taking your hair and using your hair to wash the feet. Okay, your hair, all right, fine. But what did she next do? Yeah, well, she put her lips on his feet. Penny said she just washed. Yeah, Penny said she just washed. That's right. And she just washed them. That's right. That's right. They're clean. No. Yeah, and that's right. Put the oil on it. That's right. Yeah. Well, the oil was on his head. Yeah. The oil was on the head. But you're right. They were clean, and she cleaned them. She knew they were clean. Her tears and her hair. So you know what? They're clean. And there it goes. Simon. Look at Simon's. No, I don't want you to be Simon because the Lord said, Simon, look, I came into your house and you did not give me the customary greeting. Huh? Well, okay. I know. But I want you to get don't be Simon, because Simon didn't get the point. The point is, Simon, you need what she has. She's forgiven. Simon, you need to do like her. So, yeah, the whole point. So, and I went to that because of this reason. Too many people get hung up and they can't get past what physically happened. The Lord does not ask anybody else. And she wasn't commanded to you. No, he didn't ask her to do it. That's the point. And we don't get hung up on what she did. As the key becomes, am I willing to serve Galatians 5:13 in love because of what the Lord has done for me? Am I willing to be a servant and use what God has given to me, given me, so because of what he has done for me? And that's the real message. Don't forget about, you got to get past, feet and all that. If you get hung up on that, you're like Simon. Simon got hung up on that. And he got hung up on who he thought she was.
He was on the physical.
Well, that's my point. He got hung up on the wrong stuff. And Jesus said, look, her sins, which were many, hath been forgiven. And she has never been able to say to me, thank you. So one could ask themselves this question, when have I expressed my gratitude to the Lord for what he's done for me? Some people say, well, I'll wait till I get to heaven and I'll let him know how thankful I have been. Ooh, you took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, that is presumptuous on you. Think you're going to wait till you get to heaven. How do you? Well, with that attitude, I'm pretty sure you're not going to go, because pretty sure. I said with that attitude. Now, if the attitude changes and they're obedient to God's will, that's why that's what Simon's attitude was. Well, don't you realize who I am? I'm a Pharisee. He had already assumed or presumed, I'm a Pharisee. I'm going. Who else is going to go but us Pharisees? And so we thank God for whatever opportunities he has given us now to express our love in faithful obedience to him while we have opportunity. So there's a lot of stuff to learn from there. All right. So any other questions from chapter 6? All right. Chapter 7, wonderful chapters, not long. Chapter 7 is not a long chapter at all, but it is significant. I'll have our sheets on Monday. It was a interesting experience getting home. 7 hours in the in Palm Beach Airport Sunday night. Having to spend the night in Charlotte unexpectedly. And then I get home Monday. Driving down Peters Pike, and my car stops. I had to wait to get towed home. So it was interesting. But as James says, hey, count it all joy. At least I had AAA. You know, so. Did y'all hear a little chirp in there? Well, thank God, tomorrow there will be no remnants of that stuff anywhere. At least not here. All right. Christ's influence, natural or supernatural. Who wants to begin? Penny, you feel up to it?
It has been said that every good speaker leaves his audience with something to know, to feel, and to do. Jesus Christ, the greatest communicator ever, achieved this goal in his auditors to an extraordinary degree. He had the ability to motivate thousands to the extent that they were willing to surrender their lives to him in living and even dying.
Yeah, it's when you think about Jesus, you know, we know with the eternal word, the eternal logos, John 1. But as a Jesus the man, no formal training as a prophet. He didn't. Under the Old Testament, we know that Samuel ran what was called the school of the prophets. Those individuals who would go into prophetic work studied under Samuel. Elisha studied under Elisha. Amos. Now Amos was a sheep herder from Tekoa, so he did not consider himself to be a prophet. Haggai did not consider himself to be a formal prophet, but there were those who were formal prophets in the sense that they studied under the prophets of the Old Testament. But Jesus never studied under the formal prophet, so he had no formal prophetic training. He was not one of the formal rabbis. He did not go to rabbinical school. But Jesus was clearly recognized because of how he taught and what he taught, that he was different. And we'll see some of that as we go through this. Dolly, you want to read the next paragraph?
Explosive growth of the early Christians movement is testimony to the phenomenal influence. On Pentecost, 3,000 souls were added, Acts 2:41, likely to the disciples converted by John the Baptist. A short while later, the number was a staggering 10,000. See following Acts 4:4, which mentioned only males.
Yeah, so stop for a minute. So Brother Jackson's point there is when you read that passage there in Acts 4:4, that number is even larger because the Jews and the way they counted, they only counted the men. And so most historians realize that, well, if wives, and they use some kind of statistical number, but the number would be much larger if both husbands and wives were converted at the same time. Keep going, I'm sorry.
It has been estimated that there were some 20,000 members of Christ's church in the city of Jerusalem by the time of Stephen's death. Was that Kistemaker?
Yeah, Kistemaker.
1990, page 148. And this within a city of only 55,000 people normally.
Yeah, so in the first century, this is one of the important reasons to understand why when we read the book of Acts and the church is there and get to Acts 4 toward the end of the chapter, and then between Acts 4 and Acts 6, they came to Jerusalem for the feast of the Passover. They were only going to stay there for a short period of time. The gospel is, the doors of the church are open, the gospel is preached, they stay, and this is why they had this need, because they didn't come prepared to stay this extended period of time. And so because of the fact that they stayed, and now think about this number, a city of maybe 55,000, their population is nearly doubled overnight. And these folk don't go. Okay, it's kind of like this. We're glad to have you guys here for a short period of time, spending your money, buying up our stuff. Okay, how long y'all staying? No, we don't have resources for y'all to stay this long. We thought y'all were just going to visit and head back to Parthenia, Cappadocia, wherever y'all came from, y'all heading back. Acts chapter 1, they came from all these different cities, and y'all staying? Woo. Well, we barely have enough resources to take care of our folk. But that's why that observation occurs there in Acts 4, the statement, then of course the events that occur in Acts 5 and then in Acts 6, all the point, where the Grecian widows had, needed to be assisted and so forth. So, all right.
It's funny, we don't really consider that portion of it when they're gathered on the hillside and when Jesus goes up and he hands out the barley loaves and the fish. Mm-hmm. We don't think about, these people are in what we would consider today rations.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're not getting a full-blown 3 meals a day. A lot of these people probably, if they were fortunate, they probably have 1 meal a day, and it probably wasn't real good. And to be able to go out and get fed would have been a big deal to them.
Yeah, I mean, so as the Jews traveled, they knew they brought provisions and different things with them. They actually, they would have had some of their animals that they would have used, not only the ones for sacrifice, but the ones that they would have used for food, because they were nomadic people. So, but even that came at you brought, and you travel, you've done this before, so you know about how much you need. Right. And so, yeah. And so it wasn't like, well, we're just going to go down to the nearest Chick-fil-A. I'm pretty sure they had some kind of facility or something, but yeah, people didn't do that. So, all right.
They did, but they had goats, cows, and all the chickens and everything.
Okay.
That's what they had.
Yeah, right.
I look at those shows all the time. Things haven't changed from then.
Oh,
to now.
They had movie cameras back then.
Now,
I'm picking with you, Dolly. I'm picking with
I
you.
know, but they have reenacted the lifestyle, and some of us still in this
Yeah.
nomadic culture.
Yeah.
Right to the sea.
No, I get you. I'm just prodding you. Okay. All right. Last paragraph there on 55. Jesus' success cannot be explained in any ordinary fashion. Unlike many of today's leaders, he had no material wealth. According to Matthew 8:20 or 2 Corinthians 8:9, Jesus left the riches of heaven. He was not wealthy in an earthly vantage point. He assuredly had no armies of conquest as Muhammad did, threatening conversion or death. Christ did not dupe the masses by religious chicanery, how did I say that one? Chicanery, yeah, that too. As did Simon the sorcerer in Acts 8, verse 9 and following. But here's the important part. His success can be explained only in terms of his doctrine and his demeanor. His doctrine, meaning teaching, was divine in nature. Jesus said his teaching came from God, John chapter 12, verse 48 through 50, John 5, verse 30. And his undergirded with supernatural demonstrations. He confirmed the word through signs and wonders. His demeanor was one of genuine love, expressed by concern and compassion for lost souls. The woman at the well in John 4, the woman taken in adultery in John 8. Let us consider some examples of the motivating influence of the Son of God. And so Wayne is not going to look at a lot of them, but he'll produce two key ones that will help us. And we're going to, I got a couple things on the screen in a minute. Christ's earliest disciples apparently were Andrew and Peter, James and John. See Lenski, The Interpretation of John's Gospel, page 151 following. Each pair being brothers. While there was a previous acquaintance with Jesus on the part of these four, see John chapter 1, verses 40 through 42, they were not formally called to discipleship until later. When Jesus was in Galilee walking by the sea, one day he encountered Peter and Andrew casting nets into the sea. Subsequently, he saw James and John mending their nets. Anthony, now you can go ahead to the next slide. So what I've done here, this is kind of what's called a parallel of an account. And so what we have there, you have these three key accounts, Mark chapter 1, 16 through 20, Matthew chapter 4, 18 through 22, and Luke 5. This first screen is going to give you verses 1 through 5, and then the next screen will give you verses 6 through 11. And sometimes when you study an event, you need to look at all of the accounts side by side of the same event in the life of Christ. And this is what's called a harmony of the gospel. You put each passage together, then you get the totality of the information, because each penman shares with you just a little bit, looks at the event from one angle, another from another angle, but it's all the same event. The same thing is when you look at the events of the kings in the Old Testament, to see First Kings, First Chronicles, and you see these events to see each of those. You get the harmony together. So that's what we'll have here. After teaching the crowd that had gathered and performing an outstanding miracle to corroborate his message, the Lord called these men to follow him. So as you look, especially in Luke's account, Luke lets us know, so it was as the multitude pressed about him to hear the word of God, he stood by the lake of Gennesaret. So we know that there's this multitude that's there, and they're there to hear him teach his word. And that's the backdrop that's important. So as Wayne goes on, he says, now the facts of the case are these. Peter and Andrew were partners with James and John and Zebedee, their father, in a common fishing enterprise. And they evidently were good. They had a good business, a thriving business, because anyone who has an enterprise, has a business, and you can hire workers, well, it doesn't matter what time, doesn't matter if you're in 2025 and you can hire people, all right, well, it's just not you out there slaving. You're making enough money that you can pay people. And so they were able to pay some folk. Moreover, it obviously was a prosperous business, for they hired servants to assist with the workload. So, so as you read each account, so from Mark's account, as he, meaning Jesus, walked by the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. Then Jesus said to them, follow me, and I will make you become fishers of men. Sometimes individuals, and it's important to understand something that Wayne said earlier, they were slightly familiar with Jesus, and we learn that from that passage in John. Otherwise, you would think that, all right, Jesus just said, common sense would cause you to ask this question: why would they leave their boats or their fishing business and just follow Jesus? There was something that they had already observed and heard, so that when Jesus gave them the command of the instruction, the call, they would then just leave their livelihood and become his students. Well, yeah. So the call in each of those verses, verse 18, if you're reading from the American Standard or the King James says in straight way, or American Standard in straight way. Verse in Matthew 4, verse 20, and they straightway or immediately, and in now Luke gives you a little bit more background into what was going on. As you read Luke's account, he saw two boats standing by the lake, but the fishermen had gone out of them and were washing their nets, and he entered into one of the boats, which was Simon's, and asked him to put out a little further from land, and sat down and taught the multitudes out of the boat. And when he had left speaking, he said unto Simon, put out into the deep and let your let down your nets for a draught or for a distance. We observe in Luke, go ahead, Anthony, advance it to the next one, because we need to get to Luke 5 set. There we go, thank you. So the far right column has the remaining of that, and that's verses 5 through 11 of Luke chapter 5. Jesus wasn't a fisherman, was he? No, he was the son of a carpenter. He was a carpenter's son. Now he's a teacher of God's word, and he's telling these professional fishermen how to fish. Peter, go out, look, put your net down there. And verse 5 says, and Simon answered and said, Master, we toiled, through verse 6, we toiled all night and took nothing. But at your word I will let down the nets. And when they had done this, they enclosed a great multitude of fishes, and their nets were breaking. And they beckoned unto the partners in the other boat that they should come and help them. Now, the English doesn't tell you this. Sometimes people say, oh yeah, so they say, Peter responded with faith. No, Peter actually was, the language there in the original suggests Peter, okay, sure. If you say so. It's kind of like, all right, I'm going to show you, but if you say so. Because his behavior afterwards, when he says, depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord, indicates he did it, but he didn't trust. Yeah, he thought he was appeasing, yeah, but he didn't understand. Yeah, he really forgot who it is you're dealing with.
Well, you think about it, I got to thinking about my grandson, Samuel,
Mm-hmm.
knows nothing about fishing. And I thought that would be like him going to Bill Dance and telling him what lure to put on his rod and reel to fish with. And for Bill would look at him like, okay, I'm not going to be rude and to appease you,
Yeah.
young man, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And then to catch not only one boat, but two boats to seeking.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. And after that, the text says when they evidence what the Lord brought forth, then they were, hey, we got to follow this man.
I don't think they were little boats either, because in my version it says ship. So I don't think they were just little.
Well, compared to what, so I would say this. Do you know what a John boat is? So a John boat, they were not yachts, and they were not charter fishing boats. So these are wooden boats, and they probably I'm trying to give you a
Can't even imagine.
well, no, I mean, yeah,
Boat and it's sinking,
yeah. So the kind of boats that they are, I mean, they still fish with some of the same boats today. They would hold 4 or 5 people. They would even have a lower compartment where they would be able to put some supplies, but and they were sailboats. So and I'm trying to remember because I did see, I trying to remember, there was a figure of the size of what one of those. Ashley, when you were there, did you guys see any of the fishing boats when you guys were on the Sea of Galilee? When you walked over there, did y'all see fishing boats? Did
According to them, the boat that Jesus served in the,
did they say? But did they give y'all the dimensions of that boat?
well, they probably did, that was the point.
I'm sorry.
It was what's left of it, it was like half of it was glass.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. There are dimensions available, Sister Tate, and I'll dig those out. I didn't think to grab those, but compared, so it was not like a commercial fishing vessel of today. Those things are huge, but this was not. This was bigger than. It wasn't just a rowboat, so it's bigger than a rowboat, which is a John boat. It's big enough to hold rigging, so they would have netting where they could pull the fish in. The fish would then either go in the lower part or they would go in containers on top of the ship. And ship is a relative term. It's, in terms of how large the boat is. The key then, he says, nevertheless, they left all, verse 11. They left all and followed him. And that phrase, they made a commitment that they would never abandon. And here's the teacher encouraging them to come follow me.
Now, does it ever mention that the four here that he's speaking of, were they married?
Well, that's an interesting one. Were they married?
I remember in scripture whether I recall.
Well, Peter, of course, was,
Yeah.
because he had a mother-in-law, and he served as an elder in the church, so he would have had to have been married. But no indication as to the, no, I'm not, whatever else has been written, it's funny, I have never seen anything in any encyclopedia over the years with regards to their marital status of any of the others, any of these four.
About Peter, even Peter, knowing that he was married, would be able to drop everything in his life, including business, family, everything, and follow Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
was he married?
Well, yeah, but just this. I think Brother Jackson talks about the fact that for them to leave their father Zebedee, to leave their father Zebedee there and to go follow Jesus must have meant that there were others who were able to then pick up the workload.
Were successful.
Yeah, but not only that, the significance of this, and then we'll have to stop here. Whatever familial expenses would be necessary, so they're going to leave all of that to go follow Jesus, and so somehow they have to make sure that livelihood got taken care of back at home. They didn't worry about their day-to-day livelihood, but whatever back at, someone had to pay for the boat fees, netting fees, and all that other stuff. So, all right.
Let's say this, which I know you're about ready to close, but nomadic people,
Well, they weren't. So these are fishermen. They're not nomads.
but what I'm saying is, even some of those live off the land, off of the fishes, because because that's what they do over there. They hunt, they do all of the things that God has given them. But what I'm saying is they're planners, you know.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
are
yeah, yeah.
liberal.
I
Well,
think that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
They were family.
Yes, yes,
And
they're,
family
Well-
unity,
Yes.
with the absence
Yes.
of Peter
Yes.
being out with
Yeah. They
Jesus,
support each
would have
other,
taken,
yeah.
supported his family in his absence.
yeah.
oh yeah, no question about that. So we'll.
Planners may not be a good word, but.
No, I get you. It's a good word. It's a good word. It is a. All right, mark your spot. We'll pick up and with the case of Matthew next week. There on page. What page number is that? Bottom of page 56. All right. Thank you, Anthony, for handling that last minute.